Donald Trump believes that Vladimir Putin kept the promise he personally made to Trump, the promise not to strike Ukraine. He stated this after Russia launched a record number of missiles and drones at Ukrainian cities. The promise was valid from Sunday to Monday, so Putin did not break his word, Trump said. Although earlier he had not specified any particular date when the so-called energy truce was supposed to begin. Meanwhile, Congress holds a different view. And they are calling for immediate action, in particular to increase sanctions pressure. President Zelensky announced that the negotiating position of the Ukrainian delegation at the trilateral meeting in Abu Dhabi, which will take place today and tomorrow, will be adjusted. TSN's own correspondent in the States, Olha Koshelenko, with an exclusive report. Coming up next.
After a night of heavy shelling, when Russia launched 71 missiles and 450 drones at Ukrainian cities, while temperatures dropped below -20, Volodymyr Zelensky addressed Donald Trump. He asked what the response would be. After all, it was the President of the United States who asked Putin to refrain from strikes during the extreme cold.
We see that Russia responded to this request with a record number of ballistic attacks. Not even 4 days have passed since the week that Russia was asked for. This also speaks to everything else that Russia promises, or might still promise. If they can't keep their word now, what can we expect in the future?
But President Trump has different calculations. He stated that the agreement with Putin supposedly was only for a week, from Sunday to Sunday, although previously the US president did not specify the expected time frame for the ceasefire. And as recently as Monday, he spoke about Putin's promises as if they still held weight.
It was from Sunday to Sunday, and it ended. He hit them hard last night. No, he kept his word, and that's important. We agreed to a ceasefire for 1 week because it was extremely cold there.
Are you disappointed that he didn't extend it?
Yes, I wish he would end the war.
At this time, influential Republican Senator Lindsey Graham is standing behind the US president at the NATO summit. Before the president's statement, he managed to post on X, acknowledging that the pressure on Putin was insufficient, suggesting a move towards strengthening sanctions, and also promising to urge President Trump to provide Ukraine with cruise missiles, Tomahawks, which, in his opinion, could fundamentally change the situation on the battlefield. He did not say whether he had managed to discuss this personally with Trump. His colleagues from the House of Representatives, who are part of the so-called Ukraine caucus, believe that Putin broke his promise, and this was to be expected.
It's incredible how naive President Trump is. Putin doesn't change. He has never backed down from his maximalist demands and never will. For some reason, Trump believes him. He is either naive and doesn't understand Putin's true nature, or he places equal responsibility on both sides as if this were some kind of border conflict and both sides are to blame. So if anyone believes that Putin will agree to some kind of peace deal, they simply don't understand the situation.
There are bills in both chambers of the United States Congress aimed at increasing sanctions pressure on countries that purchase Russian oil and as a result finance Putin's war machine. Its co-author, Senator Graham, has repeatedly stated that there are enough votes in support and that supposedly Trump himself gave the green light for consideration. But the matter has still not moved from a standstill. So members of the House of Representatives began gathering signatures for a petition that would allow the bill to be brought up for immediate consideration. All the Democrats and 2 Republicans have signed it. Only 1 vote is missing from Trump's fellow party members. Just 1 vote is needed, and I urge you during Ukrainian week, if you find a member of Congress who hasn't signed yet, ask them to sign the petition that's in the House. If we get 218 votes, it will be brought to a vote immediately. These words were spoken at a press conference that kicked off Ukrainian Week in Washington. Activists, religious leaders, and members of parliament from Ukraine will hold meetings at various levels in the American capital. Among them is 11-year-old Roman Oleksiev. His mother was killed by a Russian missile strike in 2022, and the boy miraculously survived. And after a very difficult rehabilitation, he became the voice of Ukraine's children.
I am standing here today to show exactly how innocent children are suffering because of this devastating war. But I can say this clearly, while so many other children simply cannot. Protect Ukrainian children.
Against this backdrop, trilateral meetings between representatives of Ukraine, Russia, and the United States will take place in Abu Dhabi on Wednesday and Thursday. The American side confirmed the participation of Witkoff and Jared Kushner. After the shelling, Zelensky stated that the work of the Ukrainian negotiating team would be adjusted.
Today, the embassy provided the State Department with detailed information about all the shellings that have taken place since the beginning. The announcement of Russia's so-called consent to a ceasefire is very detailed information provided today. We also did this as a result of the night shelling in coordination with the armed forces of Ukraine and the Ministry of Energy. And I am confident that this will also have its impact on the negotiations, because these are facts, these are concrete testimonies, specific information that seriously undermines any position of Russia. Accordingly, I hope that on the American side there will be fewer illusions and more pressure. From
Washington, United States, Olha Koshelenko, Maxim Shenkarenko, TSN, OnePlus, Marathon, United News.
3 million so-called Epstein files have been released in the United States. The Department of Justice reported the job is done, all materials are now public. But Congress is skeptical and is demanding more. The released materials have already caused a tsunami effect. Even a mention in the Epstein case destroys reputations and careers. The declassified files feature former and current US presidents, royalty, politicians, businessmen, and show business stars. All of them took part in Jeffrey Epstein's eccentric parties, where the entertainment was sex, including with minors. TSN's own correspondent in the USA, Olha Koshelenko, reports on whose lives have already been destroyed by their involvement in the pedophile case and whether the current US president will survive this.
A mention in Epstein's files is like a black mark that famous and influential people receive from their past. It has already cost former British Prince Andrew, the brother of King Charles, his title and privileges. In the new batch of files, there are again photographs of him with an unknown woman, both clothed, but on the floor under circumstances that remain unclear. After the latest publication of the files, Miroslav Lajčák, advisor to Slovak Prime Minister Fico, resigned. In his correspondence with Epstein, he was choosing a girl for games. Billionaire Elon Musk also had to offer explanations. The case materials include an email in which he asks when the next wild party on Epstein's island will be. Although so far there is no evidence that the billionaire actually visited the island. After the publication, the former Trump associate made a post on X with explanations.
I corresponded very little with Epstein and declined repeated invitations to visit his island or fly on the Lolita Express, but I was well aware that my correspondence with him could be misinterpreted and used by ill-wishers to tarnish my name. I don't care about that. What concerns me is that we at least try to hold accountable those who committed serious crimes together with Epstein, especially regarding the horrific exploitation of underage girls.
Of all the Epstein files processed so far, it is the reputation of former US President Bill Clinton from the American elite that has suffered the most. The case materials include a photo of him in a women's dress and high heels, not to mention numerous pictures with Epstein himself. The former president and his wife have ultimately agreed to testify soon before the House of Representatives Rules Committee, which is conducting its own investigation. The reputation of Microsoft founder Bill Gates has also suffered. Epstein's notes contain an entry claiming that Gates contracted a venereal disease from Russian women present at a party and allegedly asked Epstein for an antibiotic that could be secretly mixed into the food of Gates's then-wife Melinda to conceal a possible infection. There is no evidence. Gates himself has called this nonsense. It is precisely these kinds of salacious facts about other guests at Epstein's parties that President Donald Trump uses. He says that he recognized Epstein as a pedophile and pervert long ago, and therefore kicked him out of his circle, unlike other famous people.
There are a lot of questions about Bill Clinton, Bill Gates, and many other people in this regard, but as for me, there's nothing there. Moreover, it turned out that Jeffrey Epstein and that sleazy writer named Michael Wolff conspired against Donald Trump to make me lose the election. Epstein conspired with the writer to make me lose the election. So you see, I had nothing to do with that guy.
The case materials contain numerous photos and videos of Trump with Epstein, as well as with women who attended the parties. They even included a birthday card from Trump to Epstein in the case materials. It is made in the shape of a naked woman's body. In the latest batch of files, there is also a letter from First Lady Melania Trump to Epstein's associate and friend, Ghislaine Maxwell, who was involved in supplying girls, including minors, for entertainment on the island. In the letter, Melania speaks very warmly about the press coverage regarding Epstein and expresses hope for a meeting soon.
Everyone who was in any way connected to Epstein has suffered ruin and burned out. The question is President Trump the only one who can survive this? And that's a fascinating question because there is nothing positive contained in these files. There is not a single positive aspect or reaction when people are associated with Jeffrey Epstein. Most people run from it like vampires at sunrise.
The Epstein files were released by the Trump-controlled Department of Justice only after Congress voted for it. The volume of materials is enormous. Not all of the files contain proven facts. Many are simply testimonies from various people that require thorough verification, which is exactly what hundreds of journalists and analysts are working on right now. But Democrats in the Senate doubt that the Department of Justice has released all the necessary information.
They say they've collected 6 million pages but are only publishing 3. What happened to the other 3 million? What's in them? And finally, has every document that mentions the word Trump been made public? Yes or no? We need answers.
Jeffrey Epstein was not a simple pimp, but rather a successful financier with a deep interest in politics, who had connections at various levels in different parts of the world and collected dossiers on famous people. Journalists also suggest that he had contacts with intelligence agencies, including Russian and Israeli ones. His figure is still shrouded in myths. Some even baselessly speculate that Epstein did not commit suicide in prison, but is secretly living somewhere on an island. From Washington, United States, Olha Koshelenko, Maxim Shinkarenko, TSN 1+1 Marathon, United News.